With extreme cold winters and hot, dry summers, why would anyone ever choose to move there? And after experiencing just 1 year of those seasons, why would anyone choose to stay? Rexburg was settled by a few pioneers and is now a thriving community with a population of 25,000 plus. I grew up as a Ricks descendant and have always thought it was interesting to read about my great-great-great-grandpa Thomas E. Ricks and how he settled Ricksburg, now known as Rexburg. Thomas E. Ricks also had a strong influence in getting the Bannock Academy started. It has changed names twice, first Ricks College and now a 4-year university known as BYUI. Since 1883, when Ricksburg was organized, it has gone through some big changes, even the town's name. Except for a few mountain men and Indians, there were not any settlements in the upper Snake River Valley before 1883. Many mines in Montana were created because of the need to have a railroad that went between Montana and Utah, and the Mormon Church's need to find colonization for the many saints coming from Europe that were looking for places that the saints could colonize. They decided that because of the abundant amount of wildlife, tall sagebrush, and the large amounts of water that the upper Snake River Valley had, it would be a good place to try and settle. Before 1883, Thomas E. Ricks had traveled across the Mississippi River, stayed in the Council Bluffs, traveled farther west with the Latter-day Saints, and ended up in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. He traveled around the West working for the railroad. So when Thomas and 13 other pioneers were asked to colonize the Upper Valley, they were ready for the challenge. They arrived in what is known as Rexburg on the 11th day of February, 1883. By the end of the first 2 years, over 14,000 people had settled the area. If you have ever lived in Rexburg in February, this is not the time I would have chose to start a new settlement. But keeping in mind that the upper Snake River Valley was pretty sparse, had a lot of sagebrush, lava rock, and sand, which dotted the land, but because of the abundant amount of water, the men decided to make a go of it and settle the area. As the people came to live in the upper valley, many changes took place. Canals, bridges, and infrastructure was formed. One interesting fact is that the first U.S. post office was developed in Eugene, Idaho, and this is where I make my home now. I'm about 7 miles out of Rexburg, and we do not have any infrastructure here in Eugene. We just have a few grain bins and lots of farm ground and cattle. And so to think that there used to be a post office out here is kind of fun, even though now the people of Rexburg think that we live out in the middle of nowhere. Members of the community were mainly Mormon, and the infrastructure in the city was mainly run by the members of the church. Agriculture was the mainstay of the community, but with the growth of Ricks and BYUI, that has changed, and now the university is the huge economic factor with still a lot of outlying farms. Since the change to BYUI, the community has grown by 48%. However, even though the college has grown and the community infrastructure has grown, not everyone loves the growth that the college has brought. It's planting time in the middle of Rexburg. The fields have stubble of green. The trees are blooming, and there is a bustle of students on the street. Some say we have too many fast food stands, a bank on every corner, and the streets packed with cars at rush hour. And the locals do not enjoy driving around campus because of the many students walking across the streets. The winters are still cold, and the summers are hot and dry, but we live in the prettiest valley around that 13 pioneers chose to colonize and make their home.